to the Big Jon Bass Show. Welcome to the Big Jon Bass Show.
Hello legends, it's me, Big Jon Bass. Welcome to the Big Jon Bass Show. We won a game. We beat Dortmund 2-0. At home, of all places. Can you believe it? Wow. What? Sorry? Huh? Yeah, we won. I know, it's weird. I put out a very much playful, tongue-in-cheek TikTok, which I think I posted on Twitter as well, which was basically a match preview of why we're going to win, right? And loads of people at the time were commenting, going, "Oh, this is you're deluded, classic Spurs," or people just going, "Oh, you obviously haven't been watching us recently, we're rubbish." The whole idea of the video was basically, of course we'd win, because this is the most Spurs thing that can happen. Of course we'd win, because we've been absolutely garbage this season, and we look like not winning, right? So my whole point was, whatever is the most unlikely thing or most mental thing, like when we played that team and their manager was in prison, of course we'd lose that game. Of course we would, because their manager was in prison. And that's the most Spursy thing that could happen, is us losing a game to a team with a convicted felon in charge of running drills. So this is always my theory, is that football is basically like storylines, and Spurs are the ultimate just chaos plot character device you could think of, which is why I kind of, tongue-in-cheek felt like, well, yeah, we'll win this game. Obviously, and I think I said on this last pod when I sort of looked ahead to this game, I thought we'd lose, right? Just to be super clear, I'm not trying to retrofit some sort of like genius idea, but it's the classic Spurs way. It is the true meaning of Spursy, and it sometimes can be positive, like with this one, right? It doesn't necessarily mean we just bottle it, like people like to think. Spursy and Spursiness is just stuff like this. Unexpected chaos. That really is what it means to be Spursy. So, if this is your first time listening, welcome. Those of you that are back and have subscribed already, thank you. It's really very much appreciated. The pod has started with a flourish. Not by me, by you lot. Loads of comments, loads of people subscribing, which is I'm very, very appreciative of, so thank you. And like I said, if it's your first time here, please subscribe, because I'm posting every Wednesday new shows, sometimes more. This week, I even did like a little preview to the Dortmund game, a little post-West Ham thing. So I can't say it'll be like that every week, but, when there's weeks where there's multiple games going on, and it's too long to wait for Wednesday, I'll release extra ones, all right? So just chill out. You got more Big Jon Bass coming, don't worry. Also, I feel like I've done 1 million episodes of The Fighting Cock in the last week or so. So I'm really sorry if you were like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, John, I'll listen to this one as well." And now you're like, "Fuck, I can't be arsed. Don't want to hear him go on anymore." I understand it, but please just, keep coming back. It's good. Right, let's talk about Dortmund. First of all, this probably should be in my Bass of the Net rant, but I can't bear the team sheet order lineups. I can't read them. It's one. If I haven't mentioned this already, I'm dyslexic, so anything that's like chaotic words or like in a different order immediately confuses my brain. So I literally can't. It doesn't compute for me, which is really annoying. And then I'm like trying to get my head round going, okay, this is not the normal order, this is now in number order. And then I'm like, but number order is completely useless, isn't it? Like, we always read goalkeeper, defence, midfield, attack, just that's the way it's always been presented. So when it's in number order, it's absolute chaos for me. Then when you're looking at it, you've got essentially 3 fullbacks on the pitch. So trying to work out where they're going to play and how that's going to work was completely insane. It's so difficult. I said it's basically like reading a magic eye. Like, you look at it long enough, like, just sort of stare at it, and then you go, "Oh, yeah, look, it's a little boy riding an elephant." But no, it's the Spurs lineup. Very confusing. But I looked at it and I thought, oh, I wonder if he's going to take my advice from, again, if you've listened to one of the many Fighting Cock episodes I've been on recently, you'll know. I was actually suggesting that you could potentially play Porro as like a right winger and then play Spence as right back. And have also previously said, and got a lot of funny comments, that Spence could play wide of a front three on the left. So I was wondering, like, oh, is he going to do one of these things that I've been thinking about for a little while? Turns out he went for the Spence on the left of the front three, which I really like. And I've said that, and I went back because I thought, I'm sure I've said this many times before. I definitely said it on a pod, because I remember Flav basically telling me I was wrong, which is fair enough, because, you know, we're all wrong. And then I put it in the WhatsApp group. I got receipts, lads. I got bloody receipts, and I actually posted them on Twitter as well, just to remind people. But I was asking for him back in May to play left wing. Don't forget that, okay, kids? This is the reason you subscribe to this podcast, for left field shouts that come true, right? I did also say that Spence would eventually be in the team and he'd be flying at left back, and guess what? That happened as well. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to see him there. Then obviously I had that sudden dread of, what if he's absolutely shit now? And I've been giving it the absolute big one, going, I told you he should have played there, right? So, sort of dawned on me that the manager who I've been slagging off for the last few weeks has now done the thing that I've suggested. So if it goes horribly wrong, it sort of makes it look like I'm a mug, which is fair enough, because I am a mug. But I don't need the whole world to know that, do I? So he played really well, though, I thought. Now, look, he wasn't perfect. And, I saw people for banter posting the Gareth Bale Inter Milan memes, right, with Jed's face on it, which is pretty funny. I appreciate it wasn't that type of performance, right? It wasn't Taxi from Icon levels. But he did really well. He did really well. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to see him there, is I felt like he's actually pretty good going forward. He can beat people. He's got, like, good close control and can beat a man. And that it would make us a little bit more solid as well, because you essentially have two defensively capable players. I also thought it worked well because Udogie, to be fair to him, and I've been quite critical of him, I thought he played great, Udogie. And actually, though, the two of them on that side were brilliant, and actually gave Dortmund a lot of problems, which I think they overcompensated for, which is why Porro, God bless him, was getting so much joy on the right-hand side, because I think they were panicking and worrying about the sort of Spence Udogie thing. And it did cause chaos. I don't think they could have predicted that that's what we were going to do, is basically play a back three and then Spence as your sort of wide forward. I thought it worked pretty well. So yeah, I thought that was great. Just also the energy and the sort of, for want of a better word, passion, right? And pressure. And I think I just would phrase it as like, they just wanted it. They just looked interested, the players. And there was a sort of palpable difference between their sort of body language and their approach to the start of this game than we've seen for a little while. Now, I don't know whether that's because maybe the Premier League just is loads better than every other league, or whether other leagues are just bad, right? And actually they give us more time and they give us more space and they're not as comfortable, and it just feels like we can get at them. But if this is a change of direction and we can actually go, oh, okay, we can high press teams, we can put pressure onto teams, I want to see it more often, because this just immediately felt better. Just, again, I don't want this to get into 1 week I'm like, Frank's got to go, and then this seem like, oh, now I'm saying everything's fine, just do this. Forget Frank. I'm just saying from an overall point of view for the team on the pitch, I want to see this more often, right? I want to see this sort of energy and pressure and passion and drive that felt positive. It didn't feel like a negative, defensive type approach and setup. This was much more of a positive front foot approach. So I really enjoyed the way we were set up. I really liked it. It felt like it got the best out of Simmons. He definitely seemed to come into his own, which I thought was really good. You know, he's not perfect. I think Thelonious Filth in the Fighting Cock WhatsApp group described Xavi when he shoots is like he's playing in Crocs, which made me laugh because he is so good at so many things, and then the ball would just bounce to him and he would just smash it in the most random ways over and above the bar. So his shooting needs a bit of work, but this was probably one of his better performances. I thought he looked really creative and was looking to make things happen all the time, and a lot more of the play went through him, which was again an important change. So I don't know what's happened. Is this the players have had a word and said, like, look, this is how we want to play, can we think about this? Or whether Frank's come to this realisation, whether this is all instruction, I just don't know. I will say, though, I thought the players had stopped playing for him. I don't think you can watch that game and think that that is true. Now, maybe there's a world where it's, not just one thing or the other. They are frustrated with him. They're not loving it, but they also realise that, look, we've got professional pride here. We can do better. Let's try and find a way forward. And they've had a conversation. Now, we know that's happened in the past because, Mickey van der Ven spoke about the Europa League run with Ange, how they sat down and basically spoke to him and said, like, look, we don't think we can progress in this tournament. This is an approach we think will work. Can we try it? And we played that way and ended up winning the tournament. So I wonder if, some of the senior players have had a word and said, look, we want to try something. We want to try a different approach and, try something different. And that's worked pretty well in this instance. So yeah, I think that was really interesting. Then we get the goal. Romero's goal was great, right? And like I said, we created a lot of pressure down that right-hand side. And I wonder if that was just there was so much chaos going on that they just panicked and they didn't really know what to do. Romero's a goal machine, by the way. Like, it does show you, I think I spoke about it on the last pod, how far sort of striker levels have fallen. Where I'm literally looking at him and Van der Ven going, they would do a job up front. Like, they actually would do a job up front. Which is mad, but Romero is so good in the air from set pieces and just attacking the ball. And he took his goal great. Like, it was a little bit behind him, just shifted his body weight, bosh, slotted it home. Lovely stuff. Lovely little goal. So that was great, and it just, you could feel, watching at home, that the energy and the sort of atmosphere was like much improved inside the stadium, which is always a good thing. The other goal, Solanke's goal, obviously a world-class finish. He knew exactly. Don't give me this, it just ricocheted off in 3 times. No. The first one was bringing it under control, okay? The second touch was a dummy to like get the keeper to go one way. The third touch off his other shin was to double dummy it. So now the keeper's recovered, he dummied again, and then just the ricochet off his knee was a beautiful, beautiful finish into the bottom corner, off the post and in. You're not saving those. You're not saving those. Surely one of the great Champions League goals of all time from Solanke. A lot of fuss about, why have we left Tell out, put Solanke in. But as much as I love Tell, and I made a huge statement the last time I was on, I think it was the Lab with Flav, talking about Tell being a player we should really get behind as a club, and just, the hierarchy need to make him feel a bit more loved, because I don't want to see him go or want to leave, because I do think he's really talented. Solanke brings so much to this side. Like, I don't think that can be underestimated, that when he starts to get fully fit, he will add so much value. I think one of the main reasons that we did well last season in important games was that Solanke links up the play really well and brings other players in, which Richarlison just cannot do. Like, he just can't do it. Like, he's basically like a wall when it comes to controlling the ball. It just bounces off him. Whereas Solanke can hold the ball up, he bring people into play. We've seen that his work rate's incredible. He just elevates the team, I think. And yeah, I thought he had a really good game. He faded towards the end, which is to be, it's understandable, right? He's definitely on his way back from an injury, and he's going to take time to get up to full speed. So yeah, Solanke I thought was really good. Their sending off, I mean, it's just a really simple red card, isn't it? We saw the Dalot one for Manchester United the other day. That should have been a straight red as well. This one was kind of easy. As soon as you saw a single replay, VAR actually doing its job for once, just an easy red card. And that was, it's that classic thing of like goal, red card, goal, just it completely kills the game. Like, you just know it's done. And I think emotionally for the players, they needed that, they needed that sort of the jeopardy in a game being sort of evaporated immediately or very early on, let's say, I think really helped them like be much calmer in this game, because I think there were, you know, like when we're going into this game off the back of that terrible West Ham performance, there's going to be question marks, right? People were worried about the atmosphere. Sounded pretty positive in there from, you know, what I could hear and see. Obviously a few seats empty, but in the main it seemed like a positive atmosphere in there. If we'd have gone 1-0 down, I think that would have changed super quick, right? And I was really worried about that. It was a couple of balls to that Adeyemi kid, who I think looks quite decent, by the way. Also, he's mustard on FIFA. I sign him every single time for Spurs. Just play him up front straight away, because he's rapid and he's just really good, and he's left-footed. So that's the sort of level of, you know, scouting that I do on FIFA. It's like, are they rapid? Yes. Are they left-footed? Cool, I need a left-footed player. Bang, done. And that's, you know, if I was director of football at Spurs, it'd be much the same. Are they rapid? Are they good? Great. So yeah, I think that basically that second half, that sending off completely shook the game and just gave us a sense of calm. And that's when we started to see players express themselves. Like I said, I thought Solanke was doing a really good job at holding up the ball, but I thought all across the pitch, right, Doggy was looking really confident, linking up really nicely with Spence. I thought like Danso and Romero just looked solid. Like Danso just quiet, unassuming, went about his business. I thought Porro played really well. I thought Bergvall, Gray, Simmons, the three of them were great. Like I just thought it worked really well across the pitch, and yeah, I thought we did a really good job in that game, and I think that basically was what we needed. It was a good antidote to the shocking West Ham game. Second half, I'm just going to take a lovely sip of my tea here. Sorry, I know some of you are now making this a thing, like becoming obsessed with what I'm drinking on this pod, and I don't want it to become a thing, because, you know, it's pretty unprofessional of me to be like drinking and you hearing it. But I think secretly some of you quite like it. It's like ASMR. You're into it. So I've got to keep a little bit of, you know, liquid elements to this pod. That sounds weird, doesn't it? I'll shut up now. Okay, so second half, I think it was a bit of a shame for me and a missed opportunity. And the reason that I'm saying that is I felt like we started to drop off and manage the game. Now, was that sensible? Yeah, probably. Right? Yeah, probably it was. But they were down to 10 men, and we are 2-0 up. And I think there are opportunities for us to have put it on them a little bit more. Now, I understand the logic of, well, they need to come out, they need to play, just sit in and hit them on the counter. Sure, but we're not very good at that. I think we've seen that from the league. What was different about this game is that we were really good on the front foot and just basically shutting them down and making them make mistakes. Given that they were down to 10 men, I felt like just keep going, right? And I understand we have a lot of injuries in the squad and you're trying to limit usage and legs and that kind of stuff. But if you've got the ball, you don't have to run as much. And so I just felt like we could have, you know, applied a little bit of pressure up front, won the ball back quicker, and therefore doing less running, because now we have the ball and you just bop it around a little bit. And it seemed like we were more happy to sit in and let them have the ball and then do a load of breakaways and sort of just do little shuttle runs to try and shut them down than we were to try and get the ball back, which personally I thought was a shame. I felt like there was an opportunity there to go and a real statement win. Now look, 2-0 against Dortmund is a pretty good result, but I felt like we could have smashed them like 4 or 5, and that would have been a real lift. This is definitely a lift. I mean, hopefully you can tell by my demeanour I'm feeling much happier about Spurs and about things in general, so it definitely does help with that. But I felt like if we'd have slapped them like 4 or 5, we'd all be buzzing. This wouldn't be tea in this mug. It'd be, I was going to say champagne. I don't even like champagne. Who likes champagne, by the way? It's disgusting. At Christmas, this is what sort of heathen that I am. I'm Bucks Fizz man all day long. A little bit of champagne, a little bit of fresh orange. Just get it in there. And the main reason is because I don't like the taste of champagne. Rubbish. Right. Again, bass of the net. Okay. Kolo Muani, by the way, let's talk about him. Absolutely disgraceful showing from him. I've got to be honest, when people were sort of going, oh, Muani's rubbish, blah, 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 I kind of just didn't see it. I don't know whether it was like willful ignorance or whatever, but I just was kind of like, oh, fine. You know, he's not quite what we were hoping for, but he's not terrible. And this was really the first time where I genuinely was like, this is like brick to head moment. It's like, it was so obvious. I think it was Javi plays the ball over the top. I can't remember. Maybe it was someone else. I'm sure you'll correct me. Someone plays the ball over the top into the channel, and he just gives up. He doesn't even try. It's like it hasn't even hit the turf to go, oh, that's just going to take one bounce and go off. He just gives up. And what made it even more outrageous is that Spence, God love him, like absolutely busts a lung to get down the line and gets the ball easily. Like, it wasn't just about to go out. It's not like one of them where you're sliding down and try and keep it in. And no, it was right there. It was easy to get to. And he was already there and he just gave up. I genuinely would have taken him off if that was me. I'd have brought on Williams-Barnett. I'd have just taken him straight off. If you're not going to run, you've just come on. If you're not going to run for the team, what use are you? What is the point? And I would be cancelling his loan. And I know this sounds like hyperbole. I appreciate that. But this is the sort of standard that we have to start setting for ourselves as a club. If you're going to let someone come on loan and they're not going to give it all and they're not going to try, we're still paying him, right? It's not like he's going, guys, you know what? I don't really fancy running. Just take 50% off my wages this week, guys. Don't worry about it. No, he's getting paid full whack and he's on a shed load of money, I imagine. To what? Not run. Like, that is the bare minimum. Right, it's one of the things that has always bugged me about footballers when their biggest selling point is, yeah, but he runs around, he gets stuck. That is the bare minimum. They are professional athletes. Of course they're running around. You should run around. You should be getting stuck in. That is the bare minimum. And if he's not doing it, what good is he to us? Now, I know we have got an injury list that is, really long and very concerning. I get that. And so he's a body. But you can't have that. You cannot have that in a squad, someone who's just not going to run and not going to be bothered. He's got to go. I would cancel his loan now. And also, look, it sets a precedent to other players. Whether it's Frank or Vinay or whoever, or Langer, you cancel his loan and you tell the players, we've cancelled his loan because he doesn't want to die for the shirt. So if you don't want to, then you won't be here very long, because this club has expectations, this club has standards, and if you're not going to meet them, we will look to move you on. Simple. And everybody should feel that every single day they come into the training ground that they are dying for the shirt. Again, I know it sounds gammon football man and it don't work like that, they're young lads and blah blah blah. It should work like that. They still understand, right? It's like we don't need to mollycoddle these young footballers. They still get it, right? They still understand, and we should be able to say to them, these are the standards we expect, and if you're not going to hit them, see you later. So yeah, Kolo Muani, cancel his loan, get him out of my club, and let's start getting a few of those young lads in. And guess what? The transfer window's open. Don't know if anyone knows, but we're not far away from entering the last week of the transfer window. Why aren't we signing more players, Spurs? What are we doing? Can we please hurry up? And again, I don't want to make this all about Frank. It's irrelevant with Frank, right? The club have told us that it doesn't matter who the manager is, they're the coach, and we bring in players that suit the way we want to play and that fit our system. Cool. Then what are you waiting for? Because whether we sack Frank today, tomorrow, after Burnley, don't matter. We need players. We need quality players, and we need them now. So if you were thinking about signing attacking players, hurry up and get rid of Muani and get players in who are committed to playing for Tottenham, because otherwise, what are we doing? Okay, next thing I've got on my little agenda here to talk about is, why are we like Jekyll and Hyde? Why are we really good in Europe? We haven't lost for ages at home. We haven't conceded goals at home for ages. We are, whether it's Europa League, Champions League, We are some sort of European powerhouse. And in the league, we're like competition winners in some sort of weird reality show where they're like, wouldn't it be funny if we put a load of non-league players in the Premier League for a season? Tune in to Sky One to find out what happens. That's what we're like in the league. Absolute garbage. But in the Champions League, we're like Real Madrid. We'll just win it every year, shall we? We'll just win a European trophy every season. I'm honestly, and this just shows you my mentality. After that game, I'm going, yeah, could win it, could possibly win it. That's definitely now a possibility. And I'm actually going 17th again. It's fine as long as we win it. I'll take that. Yeah, no problem. Okay, cool. And then I'm running through the teams that are left in it, and I'm going, yeah, beat them. Real Madrid aren't what they were. PSG, where's the motivation gone? Right, and I'm just going, yeah, we can do this now. Maybe this is what it is. Maybe we just need to double down the Champions League. And literally, after West Ham, I was like, season's over. There's nothing to play for. Give up on the Champions League. We're going out. We're garbage. We're the worst team ever. This is why we love the game. This is why we love Spurs. Because, like I said, the most Spursy things can happen. And suddenly we're what? The best home side in Europe and the worst home side in the Premier League. Make it make sense. It's just pure Spurs in action. It's actually a really good point to illustrate what I was saying earlier. Excuse me, John, could you help us to just like explain to someone what Spursy really means? Yeah, absolutely. Can you just bring up the fixtures and watch a few performances of our league form, particularly at home? You've seen that, have you? Yeah. Terrible? Yes, it is. Absolute garbage. Right. Do you think we're a rubbish football team? You'd say terrible, would you? Yeah, perfect. Okay. Here's our European record and here's our European performances. What's that? You think we're the best team you've ever seen? Yeah, that's right. We are. It doesn't make sense. That is Spursy. That is what it is. It's chaos. It's nonsense. It's a fugazi. It's a fugazi. It's a fizzy. Fuzzy. It doesn't mean anything. Right? That's where we're at. We're nonsense. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So now I am thinking we just got to put all our eggs in Europe again. Just to there is to do. Let's just go for it, man. Like, you know, part of me is obviously thinking, well, we can't win it, can we? Like, we're rubbish. Like, we are rubbish. But then I'm like, no, this is what I mean. This is the storylines of football. Imagine Spurs finish 17th or worse and won the Champions League. That is so Spurs, isn't it? That's so Spurs. We could do it. We could do that, and it would be incredible. So I would love to see how this pans out. Next thing, which is definitely Thomas Frank related, is what do we do about Thomas Frank now? Right? One of my main reasons for this Spursy take of we're going to win this game in jest was that because, of course, we're at a point where finally the board look like they're going to move on Thomas Frank, the man that we all don't think is up to the job. And then we win this game, the hardest game that we've played in the last 6 or 7 games. Makes no sense. And we've won it, and won it convincingly at home, the place that we don't do well at. I don't know what this does. Now, look, I've been saying for a little while on here, on the Fighting Cock, TikTok, everywhere, that I just can't see a world where this is going to work with Thomas Frank. And the reason that I think that the board don't think that is because Vinay is basing his experience currently on his experience with the scum, and that you stick with the manager and things will work out well. And actually, that has only started to slightly change or come even into his view after West Ham, right? Whereas for most of us, we were like, that's it, that's the final straw. I think the board and Vinay, this was the first time that thought had even occurred to them, right? Where they'd gone, oh, maybe this is becoming a problem. So now that we've just beaten Dortmund, I think this resets the clock again. I think that they're like, oh, okay, yeah, See, I told you. Just like with Mikel, let's just ride it out and it will all be fine. Don't panic. We go into Burnley and we lose. And it'll be, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to be in this constant state of paralysis is my concern. And as brilliant and as fun as yesterday's game was, I don't think it's enough to go, okay, let's just forget about the garbage football we've had all season in the league. It's just not good enough. It wasn't enough to save Ange's job winning a competition. So it shouldn't be enough to keep Thomas Frank in the job when, let's park what I just said about, thinking we could win. I do think we can win it, right? Just to be clear, that's the sort of way my mind works. I can imagine us winning it, right? Which is chaotic in itself, but I can. But realistically, right, it'll be very hard to win this. So then it definitely doesn't rule him out for being fired, because the league form is horrendous. And we saw Ange get fired, and he did win us a European trophy. So what I'm saying is, if we do stick with Frank, he has to win the Champions League or he gets fired. Right? That should be the board's expectation. And I think he should be fired anyway. I think they should be looking now for a replacement. The fact that we're still in the Champions League is a positive, right? For the next manager that comes in, something to keep spirits high and keep it fun. Now, I was talking about the FA Cup being a potential fun distraction, and obviously we went out to Villa. Maybe the Champions League is still the fun distraction. I'm actually really looking forward to the Frankfurt game. It does feel like a holiday. It does feel like this is great. And actually maybe that explains the home form, right? Which is, when you go on holiday, you are by the pool, you're having a cocktail, you're having a lovely club sandwich if you're in a hotel, right? It's sunny, everything's great. It doesn't mean that when you get home, you still don't have bills and it's raining and you left the washing up to be done and now you've got back and it stinks in the kitchen, right? And someone's left some fucking apple cores and some rotting fish at the bottom of a bin and it stinks. That can still be true. Those two things can exist in the same world, right? When you're on holiday, it's not like everything's perfect at home. That's what's happening with us in the Champions League. Champions League is us being on holiday. We're on a lovely time. The league is us getting home from holiday and it being absolute garbage. Everything is better when you're on holiday. So we have to stay in the Champions League as long as we can. And it looks like now we're going to qualify automatically in this new weird league system. We will beat Frankfurt. I think we'll smash them up. Now, this is what I mean. Now my mindset has completely changed. That we will just smash them up because Spurs in the Champions League are just absolute G's, and we're just gonna do it, which is amazing and really fun. Right, let me get into some questions. I'm gonna have some more tea as well while I'm doing this. I'm gonna get your questions from Twitter. Okay, let's have a look. What have we got here? Okay, this is a fantastic podcast. Let me put that tea down. It's getting in my way now. By the way, I'm just seeing some stats here. Houston Review sent me that successful take-ons in Champions League match week 7. Leverkusen 1, Arsenal 2, PSG 3, Kylian Mbappe 4, and Jed Spence 9. Jed Spence, mate. Absolutely doing bits. B-Woo Tangi said, should we play 3-4-3 more often? Yeah. I said incorrectly we might have stumbled on a new lineup like 4-3-3 with Palhinha sitting and then that front three. I think I just went a bit premature because I think we might have just stumbled on a good team and a good system. That 3-4-3 with Spence from the left looks pretty good. Kevin Cubbies 017, why is Frank still in charge? I think we know why, don't we? Right, like Vinay just committed to Frank and now we've won this. It's like another tick in his box going, see? Like, this is why we should keep him. He's doing all right. 75 Vladdy, do you think Frank has the answers and he just has Brentford mentality overriding some tactical decisions he wants to make? If this is the case, surely time is necessary. Look, these are fair comments. This is interesting. I think that's sort of part of the problem, though, is that it's the mentality that's the issue for me, right? I'm sort of worried that it's the wrong character. And I've heard, a few people talk about there aren't really good and bad managers at the top level. They're just the right managers for the right clubs. And I kind of think that's where it's at. It's he obviously is a talented manager. He understands tactics and data and players and all that stuff, but it's got to be a good match for the club that you're trying to manage. And I do feel like the Brentford mentality is something that's his mentality that suited Brentford and therefore isn't something that can be changed or overcome. That's just his mentality. So I do think that will be really challenging. MJB Hotspur, do you think Dortmund were complacent because of our list of injuries and terrible form? We played very well, but I was shocked at how poor Dortmund looked. Yeah, look, there's got to be a bit of that. They were rubbish. They were rubbish. They were absolutely terrible. And again, is this a Premier League has just moved on to another level? I don't think actually, like, overall, I think football is worse than it's been for a long time in terms of just standout quality. But the sort of overall generic level of the Premier League is so much higher than the rest of Europe, it feels like. Because we just ran them over. Like, they were panicking, playing out from the back, so many times they just get caught on the ball. And they got run over, is basically how I'd explain it. So was there a level of complacency, like they thought they were just going to rock up and win? Yeah, maybe. I have heard that they can be quite inconsistent and, games they're supposed to win, they lose. So I don't know, but look, I don't think it was all just us being amazing. I'm also aware that they're not potentially the best thing in the world. John Foodie says, is Kevin Danso a better out-and-out defender than Van der Vaart? Definitely better than Van der Ven. Out-and-out defender. So just on the basics of defending, heading, tackling, marking, yeah, probably. But Van der Ven has attributes that make him harder to play against, right? Like his pace is just ridiculous. And so whilst let's say, he's not as good as marking, you roll him. Well, you're not beating him anyway. So it doesn't really matter. He's not great in the air. I will say Danso is like much better in the air, and that does help us against certain teams. The fact is, it's not one or the other for me. We need multiple good players in each position, and I do think they complement each other well in the sense of their place in the squad. So like bringing in Danso gives you something different, and you can also play him with Van der Ven as well. So I think that's an interesting one. But as an out-and-out defender, Danso's just solid, right? He's such a good old-fashioned defender. Austin Bear, tell me how to feel, please. I'm all over the place. This is it, isn't it? It's currently, like I said, we're on holiday. We had a big night last night, and it was absolutely brilliant. Everyone's sitting around the pool today, chatting, chewing the shit, shooting the breeze, having a laugh. We'll get back on it in a little bit, and it'll be brilliant. But we know we're flying home, and home is Burnley, isn't it? That's what it is. It's the holiday blues. That's what we're about to encounter. So just enjoy it, I guess, Bear, until we get to the weekend, and then we'll deal with the holiday blues when they come. Can Frank organise to play 11 versus 10 every week? Benny Isles. Yeah, I hope so. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Imagine that. Yeah. What's our formation? Well, we've gone for 11 men, but I would like them to go for 10 men, please. They can line up however they like, but they've got to go 10 men. And then the rest just like, yeah, fair enough. No one's actually thought of that as a concept, so we'll do that, shall we? That would be great. Is Spence a winger, not a defender? And that's from SPW Man About Town. Well, we don't know. It's one game. Like I said, I've been calling for it as a potential solution, an idea why we don't have an obvious left winger. It worked well yesterday. Let's see. Let's give it a bit of time. He's certainly a good defender, and it's great that he can play in a multitude of positions, but he's just really good going forward. Matt Lewis, Aardvark FC, should Thomas Frank be given a contract extension? Maybe, here's a solution for you, maybe we just let him manage the Champions League games. Just you manage the Champions League games, and then we'll bring in Allardyce for the league games. Just stay up. That could work. What else have we got here? Does Fridge is on fire 17. Does 30 to 40 minutes of decent play override the last 6 months? It does not. It does not. I'm very clear on this fact. I am very positive and happy about that game in isolation. And in fact, our form in Europe has been really good. I've got no issues, no concerns with that. I don't want anyone to misinterpret my positivity on this pod or in general about that game to be misconstrued as, oh, maybe Frank should stay. He's just not the right guy. Like, he just isn't. I cannot see this turning around. And I just don't think he's the right personality. So I still Frank out, sadly. Frankly, my dear, this is from Ben Hotspur. What is the meaning of life? Or does Randall Kalimawani have a future at Spurs after this season? Do we look better playing three at the back, kind of hybrid like last night? Okay, what is the meaning of life? To have fun without hurting anyone else. Does Randall Kolo-Muani have a future at Spurs after this season? No, he wouldn't have a future after this minute if he was playing for me. And do we look better playing 3 at the back, kind of hybrid like last night? Yeah, there's definitely something there, isn't there? Definitely worth exploring at least. Then we had one from Andreas Olsen. Frank in? Question mark. No. Still no. Still a big no. So here's one from Coys at 164 IAB. So I asked ChatGPT to predict our final points considering our form, injuries, and the answer was 40 points. Jesus Christ. Looking at our next 8 fixtures, which I ran through on the last pod, which all look horrendous. Do you think 40 points are achievable? Seriously, are we in danger of relegation? Yes, we are. I do think we are because, as I said, we've got a horrific February, really tough games. I don't think Frank's the right man. And in a very perverse way, the more we're interested in focus on the Champions League, the more we're likely to be uninterested in the league. And we saw what happened last season, right? We just plummeted down the league. And if we keep losing to teams like West Ham and if we lose to Burnley, those teams that are below us are catching us up. So that's not good either. Do you think Poch back would actually work or would just be a romantic appointment? Who would be your number one gaffer in the summer? I do think Poch would work. I don't think he's a busted flush. I don't buy this idea that the game's moved on and he should go. I think he was turning a corner with Chelsea. I think they should have stuck with him. I think we should have stuck with him back in the day and let him do the rebuild that he wanted to do. And I know people go, yeah, but you're forgetting how terrible we were in that period. No, I'm not. I remember it was absolutely horrendous. That Brighton game sticks into my mind so clearly, the one where Lloris broke his arm. I remember it so clearly and being furious. But that was the first time it had ever been bad under Poch. And we were thinking about getting rid of him. I was like, I just don't understand. Well, we know we had 2 windows and not signing anyone. This transition into the new stadium. We got to a Champions League, the sort of deflation of that not working, getting to that final and then not working was bad. We made some bad signings that didn't work out. We should have doubled down on Poch then. So I never wanted him sacked in the first place. I would bring him back. I think it would give us an instant lift. And also just think he's a good manager and he would do a good job for us. That being said, if we don't get him and there are, other managers out there, I'll just say, like a Xabi Alonso, for example, I'm not going to jump up and down screaming, oh no, it's a Poch or no one. Like, I'm also interested in who's the next Poch? Who could be our new Poch? That's what I'm also interested in. So I'm not all or nothing for Poch. Couple more. Blue 10x. What now? Question mark. A single result shouldn't change much, but so often it does. Burnley and Champions League are must-wins. If he does and somehow picks up 4 points in February, is he here for the season? And if this is the case, will it come down to fan pressure even if we're winning? So this is the interesting thing for me. Like, we could definitely beat Burnley, and in which case it's like 2 wins. The board, and Vinay particularly, I think will look at that and go, see, this is why you shouldn't panic. This is why you double down. This is why you stick with the manager. Stay the course. We'll be fine. I know in my bones he's not right for us. I think a lot of people feel the same way. And it just depends on how bad things get in February. Because I think if he beats Burnley, they will think, great, just keep him where he is. I think we could really struggle in the league in February. Or this is a turning point, a genuine turning point, and I am just completely missing it. And Thomas Frank is correct that he's turning an oil tanker, and it's going to take time. I don't think so. But maybe that's what it is. And we'll definitely find out over the next few weeks. Right, now that's enough of your questions. Thank you for sending those in. I really appreciate it. It helps to make my life a lot easier thinking of things to say if you guys interact with me. So thanks for sending the questions. Really appreciate it. Sorry I don't get to do all of them. I'll try and cover as many as I can each week. So thank you. Right, let's talk next game. Burnley. Right. Burnley away. Now, typically we are better away from home than we are at home in the league. Burnley are in the bottom 3. So this is a must-win game for us if we really want to, I can't believe I'm saying this, pull away from a relegation battle early doors, right? And for me, this is really our last chance to get 3 points in the league for a while, because our fixture list is really tough over the next month in February. So this is a massive must-win game for us, and I would just really like us to basically play the same approach and the same way we tried to play against Dortmund. What worries me, and what has been my sort of issue, and one of the things I was actually positive and hopeful for, is that Frank's sort of ability to be able to find a way to beat different teams, I think is also sort of his downfall at Spurs, because we should have a set imprinted style that we push on our opposition and that they have to adapt to us. And what I think he's tried to do is try to adapt too much to opposition. So I hope he doesn't overthink this and go, right, now we're playing Burnley, we can't play the same way. No, we can. Let's go there and play like we played against Dortmund and see what happens. Because I think if we do that, one, it'll be way more enjoyable for all of us, and two, I think it's a much better way to try and win. Because the system we've been playing previously has just not served us that well. It's been pretty bleak and pretty hard to watch. Is this the end of Frank? If he wins, do we keep him? Like I said, I think I've covered this point now. I don't know why I'm saying it like someone asked me the question. I wrote this down myself and then I've just read it out anyway. He should go anyway. He won't. And if we lose, I do think there will be more pressure. Like they have to surely see that we can't just keep him because the form in the Champions League's been good. He was supposed to be brought in to be able to manage on all four fronts. That's what they told us. Ange could have just managed us in just the Champions League, right? Like he did that with the Europa League and he got fired. So we can't do that anymore. So yeah, look, this Burnley game's going to be a tricky one. I don't think it's going to be a lovely game of football. Burnley will try and potentially stodge this up, but we should be beating them. Like we really have to get 3 points there, and I really hope that we see this as a positive springboard that can bring things, through for us. Also, just quickly, I just want to make one point on going back to the Dortmund game on Byfield, Janai Byfield getting his debut and playing in the Champions League. I love it. I absolutely love seeing academy players get a chance in the first team, even if it's like this, where it's like loads of injuries, come in, do a job. He was solid, did great, the lad. Really good to see. I know it's proper gammon, but just love to see English lads playing for their club. I just love it. So yeah, big up Byfield. That was really nice to see. Also, he's a lump. He's massive. So let's hope he can find a way to be a useful member of the squad, because it'd be great if we can get, Byfield, Williams-Barnett, some of these lads into the squad and build that out. I think it's Bayern Munich. Their sort of like mantra is every season we want to try and have one player from our academy who is pushing for the first team squad. So it's like on the bench or is like coming in for the odd game. We want someone who is good enough for the Bundesliga. So someone like doesn't work out at Bayern, but they will end up playing in the Bundesliga for someone else. And someone that's good enough to be a professional footballer from every single year group. When they get to a certain point, they want to try and produce that across their youth teams. To me, that's just like what Spurs should be looking to do. We should be looking at how do we get these players in our squad and in our first team. How do we generate players who are good enough for the Premier League that we can sell and make money from? And how do we just get other players across the league? We're starting to see that a bit more. Right, I think they're starting to realise we have some really good players that need to be integrated, and we have some good players that they're good but they're not good enough for us, that we need to move on and we can make money from that. That's what big clubs do. That's how they perform. I mean, look at City, the way that they've done that. They've integrated their best players. They've let some brilliant players go, like Cole Palmer, for example. But they do a good job of really bringing players through and sort of having an imprint on the league. I'd like to see Spurs do that. Okay, so just to round things out, my bass in the net for this week, and I know this is probably a controversial one because I know lots of people like it. I don't like the Champions League format. Now, I know it's literally called the Champions League, right? I understand that. And so having a league format somewhat makes sense. However, the Champions League is the European Cup rebrand, right? Because it's a cup competition. Because after the league stage, guess what? It goes into a knockout cup competition. So I don't like the fact that we've now changed it into this league format. One, because I'm a gammon and I'm old and I don't like change. Two, there was just something more fun about the group stages, because you'd kind of get to realise who's in each group and therefore what are the big games in that group. So when you got to the last couple of rounds, like this one and the next one, it would be brilliant, right? Because you'd be able to go, oh, Real Madrid and Inter Milan are in the same group, and Inter have to win if they want to finish second, and they're away at the Bernabeu. Like, just massive games with like so much riding on them, and teams having to a points difference. They've got to beat Fiorentina away 3-0, and they've only conceded one goal away, one goal at home all season, that kind of stuff. Whereas now I'm like, I don't know where anyone is in this league table. I don't know what's going on, and I know everyone loved the last round last season. It was brilliant. Oh, I don't know. It's maybe because I'm getting old that I just don't follow football in the same detail across it. But it just doesn't feel as big being done this way. And it's much harder to keep a track of it. Nobody really knows what's going on. And it feels like a little bit easier for the bigger teams to qualify out of it. There's just not as many teams just bomb out as there used to be. And I always thought that was much more fun. So, yeah, my Bass of the Net rant for this week is Champions League format. Don't like it. Right, we're coming to the very end. If you have enjoyed this, please rate and like and share it far and wide. Tell your friends about it. Why not? Help me out. I'm always going to try and fill that gap on a Wednesday. So, when there isn't normal pods, my pod will be there to take you through the dark days. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's at the real Jon Bass, JON. Let's not mess around here. Same with TikTok. If you've got TikTok, you probably haven't, because you're probably as old as me and you're like, why has he got a TikTok? But if you want to have a look on there. And then I'll be back next Wednesday. You can always get me on the Fighting Cock. I will never leave. I'll always be with the rest of the boys on the Fighting Cock as well. So if you want to listen to that, subscribe to that, and I will see you beautiful people very soon.
Welcome to the Big Jon